James Harden just completed one of the great offensive seasons ever, the highest points per game since Michael Jordan in 86-87, including 9 50-point games, 9 of them, and that 32-game streak of 30-point games. He also recorded the second highest usage rate in history. Much on his shoulders, a tall order for the Jazz to try to stop him, and they've been up to the task in terms of slowing down the Rockets' offensive attack. In 4 games this season, Houston's had some of their worst offensive games against this excellent Utah Jazz defense. So, Brendan, how does this play out in the postseason?
I think it still plays out with Houston winning the series, but Utah is a team that can make the series very ugly because they do have a lot of rim presence. When you talk about Rudy Gobert and his ability to challenge shots at the rim. So if you're a defender, you know, hey, I can get into my man. And if I get beat, I have a great shot blocker like Gobert or Favors behind me, guys that can take that pressure off of me. And that makes things harder. And I think that Utah, we saw last year, they were very game in the playoff series against Houston last year. If not for a Spider Mitchell injury, we might have been looking at a 7-game series because he was taking that game over in Game 6. So it'll be very interesting to see how things play out. But I think Utah does present some problems as far as their defensive efforts.
Yeah, you know, Brendan, they have good perimeter defenders. They have good guys that are good athletes, good length. Rubio, you know, as a point guard, can guard and get into space. They like to force him to his right. Obviously, get on his left hand, force him right. And as you say, you have those rim protectors. You have 2 big guys back there, Favors, Gobert. Gobert, obviously, his instincts are to come to help. And it's collectively as a team, the ability to sort of, you know, close down the paint, but still then get back out to shooters and when you force them to pass. And so you're not going to stop him. You're not going to slow, you know, but you want to try to contain and slow him down, neutralize and shut everybody else down. And Utah, Quinn Snyder, got to give him credit. They've done a decent job throughout the regular season. Now in the postseason, you have even more time to lock in and focus and make adjustments as you go. You know, in the regular season, you got a day or 2 to prepare and move on to the next game. So it'll be interesting to see if they can, you know, be as good or if not better with their collective defensive effort against Harden.
You know, last year they also got, speaking of Houston, they got their best from Chris Paul, who was great against Utah, including 41 in the clincher. They're going to need that again?
Yeah, I mean, I believe so. Look, Utah's a tough out. Nobody wants to see this team in the first round. This is not, and you think about through the years, I mean, just all the, not that it matters now, but all the rivalries between these 2 teams in the playoffs and the great matches and great games. But Chris Paul is capable, been up and down with injuries, but this is the time of year where he's important. And yeah, I mean, I don't know if he can go out and get 40 again, but he must have an impact in this series for Houston to win.
Can't just be hard.
Yeah, I agree. I think he does have to have an impact, but the game has changed so much for Houston because when Chris Paul was out, they really started to use Harden in a usage rate that we haven't seen before in the league. So this series is going to be a lot different than it was last year because James Harden is playing at a different level than he was last year, and I think that impacts Chris Paul. They're going to need Chris Paul, but I'm not sure if he's going to have the same amount of freedom that he had last season. Last season, it was almost more of a 1A, 1B type situation. This year, it's Harden is 1A, B, and C, and then you have Chris Paul. And so I think Chris Paul still has to take advantage of his opportunities when he gets them, and he has to be aggressive, but I don't think that he's going to be needed quite as much just because they lean on Harden so much.
They split the regular season 2-2 for what that's worth, and Donovan Mitchell's playing as well as he has the entirety.
Spider Mitchell.
Remember how hot Utah was at the end of the season. They've been one of the best teams in the last few weeks.
Trevor Ariza's not there. And Trevor Ariza and Luke and
Don't worry about it. Hey, sometimes, hey,
they did a good job on Mitchell last year, and they'll be missed in this series.
Absolutely.